guys, how's it going? Welcome back. No sense doing a boring unboxing. Let's just get right down to it. This is the Hughes Kettner Spirit of Metal. Alright, so I have the Spirit of Vintage, that one I bought, and the metal is on a rental right now. We're still waiting for the Spirit of Rock to come in, but we did get the metal one in today, so yeah! And I gotta tell ya, she's pretty metally. Marshall's gonna have a run for their money. Well, maybe not. Who knows? But point is, this is Hughes and Kettner, solid state amps, but with that tube sound, and they feed back just about the same way too. Anyways, so we've got the gold top Les Paul out, so we're a humbucker. You don't put metal on single coil. That's what humbuckers are for, among other things. Now, this ain't no quiet girl. We're in a 4-ohm cab. Now, 12-inch too. So with these amps, they can run 4 to 16 ohms. And at 4 ohms, you get a screaming 48 watts. Okay? And that's a lot of loud wattage, man. And the dB is just, oh, so terrifyingly cool. Now, at 8 ohms, you're going to get 25 watts. A little bit quieter, but still really obnoxious. Right? And then, of course, at 16 ohms, you're down to about 13 watts. So, hey, but it automatically knows what it's plugged into, adjusts itself accordingly, and you can just let her wail, okay? So, without changing the master, other than we're going to make sure it's right around 9-ish, we're going to take the gain up. Now, the sagging control works a little different on this one, as you'll hear. Sweet spot where it's nice and it brings the volume up. On the Spirit of Vintage, as you bring the sagging up, it pushes more output, more power, and you know, does its little thing. On this one, you got a kind of a little sweet spot area, and then as you go higher, it kind of has a bit of a lowering effect. Kind of weird, right? And then when you go down all the way, it takes a lot of power away and has a different effect to it. So you can get a lot of colorful tones out of this little puppy. What I think great about here is a good spot. Now, tone control works just like a tone control, because you've got, you know, the low end, and then you got your screaming highs for your leads. The tone somewhere around about 1230. Now I think the next thing you guys want to hear is more gain, obviously, right? So let's make sure that master is about 9. Gain at 12 o'clock. to match the gain, shall we? That's a wicked amp. Oh man, I'd go deaf. I think I am already. I'm yelling. Yeah, that's it. That's right. I'm deaf now. That's some pretty serious ballsy amp for heavy metal, man. It definitely has got some juice. Now, my speaker can handle 100 watts, so that's not a problem with the speaker. And the amp is great, like 48 watts of screaming power. Like, that is just in such a tiny little package yet, you know? That's actually pretty cool. But anyways, yeah, it's a very neat amp. The tone control works really well, so you can, you know, you can dial it back or really make it squeal for those leads if you want. I'm not much of a lead player, honestly, guys. You should know that by now. I'm more of a, you know, kind of a rhythm kind of guy, you know, right? So the second control is kind of neat. It's got that little squeeze spot just in here where it brings up that volume out, and then you can suck it back this way or go the other way, and so you can get a lot of different types of colorful tones out of this. But this thing doesn't know the meaning of the word clean, you know, which is crazy. It's like it's automatically just started with an attitude, you know, like, let's put the gain down lower, see how clean we can get this. as clean as it gets. Play the blues with this. But if you want to go on metalhead, definitely go all metalhead with it. I think overall, I mean, it's probably not the world's best metal amp on the planet, which none of them are. Everybody has their taste. But this thing definitely can drive her home, you know. And if you have like a 4x10 or 4x12 cab, I mean, this thing is going to seriously blow the plaster off the studs, you know, because more speakers, more space, more air volume to push. It's going to get really super obnoxious. And I'm just working with a 12-inch cab here, so 1x12, and man, it's loud. And it's clean too. It's pretty clean even for the dirties. It gets a little on the raunchier, almost ready to rip the speaker apart kind of sound when you're way up there, but you know, it's character. And you know, different speakers are going to react a different way too. That's the thing. I mean, this is a Trainer. Trainer is not exactly the best thing in the business when it comes to amps. You know, it's not my favorite brand by any means. I've had a few Trainers in the past, and you know, even this one. This is the Block 100, which I originally bought this off of a guy, and the amp section was toast, but the way they designed the cabinet on this, you rip the amp out and the cab is still completely sealed. So it's like, it makes a perfect cab. Screw the amp. Throw it out, put it in the garbage can, use the speaker. So that works perfectly fine. So I had actually given this thing to a buddy of mine with a PV head that I created from an Audition 20. But anyways, he offered it back to me because he's not using it. I'm like, sure, great, that'll be actually awesome because I have these amps, right? And, you know, going through the line out into the mixing board, that's one thing, you know, and it saves my hearing. But to do stuff like this for demos, it's great, it's ideal. And it is a 4-ohm cab, so we are getting that 48 watts of mayhem out of the Hughes. Now, even though these things are not actually tube amps, they are designed to replicate the tube amp sound, right? And I think Hughes has pretty much got her nailed so far. I mean, I really love the Spirit of Vintage amp. It's really nice. This amp is pretty cool. I can't say whether I'm going to buy it or not. I mean, I can get a few bucks off this because it was a demo, you know, model. And, you know, but I'm kind of thinking, I really want to check out that Spirit of Rock first before I make up my mind. Because if I'm going to buy another one of these things, I would really like to just have either this one or the Rock amp, whichever one made the most sense to me, right? So, and I know you guys are like, Kev, but there's only 3. You've got to own all 3. I'm not rich, right? So I got to pick. And it's kind of like, we'll see. I don't know how it's going to work in the end. I may not get either one of them in the end. I really don't know. I mean, I do like this. Don't get me wrong. I do like it. But the only one issue I do have is it's definitely too loud too soon. Okay, like my vintage amp, I'm not going to demo anything on the vintage amp today, but if I put the master here, now let's play along a little bit here. Now, considering, you know, my landlords live upstairs, I have to respect them. And he's a fellow musician, so he doesn't mind when I turn things up a little bit, even when they're home. But this, to me, is a little bit even too loud for that. And to really get any good sound, you got to have it about here. Because if we, let's try something. So that's about the lowest we're going to get. Now, that's okay, but it just doesn't seem to come alive. Kind of like a tube amp. A tube amp never comes to life until you just bring those dials up, you know? Like that kind of sort of thing, but that's really obnoxious, especially when people are home. But anyways, so I know that it's going to have to be loud, but I don't want to be stuck having to play an amp only when people aren't home, right? So we need to have different volume levels, obviously, hence the Katana Air. But it is still a really wild and cool amp regardless. Now these things retail for $2.99 Canadian dollars at Long & McQuade. Many other places carry them too, but I deal with Long & McQuade. I love Long & McQuade. And I've been dealing with them for years. So when it comes to the price for $300, these things are so far easily worth the $300. I mean, you're getting a lot for your money, right? So that's definitely there. You're getting the ability to have 4 to 16 ohms, plus that line out. You don't even need to take your cab to your gig. You just need the line out, plug into the PA, have a stage monitor, and let her wail, man. And that's the nice beauty of this. And even in smaller gigs, you know, all you need is this and plug her into a PA, if there is a PA. If not, well, bring a cab. But even a 1x12 cab, I mean, seriously, man, that is flipping loud. Like, that is, like, oh, obnoxious. Now, I gotta say, I gotta rate this really fairly. So, I have to really seriously sit back and say, look, it's worth $300, that I'll give it, okay? I love the features, I love the design, I love the line out capability. All of that is all pluses. Okay? My only real huge negative crap about this thing is it's too loud too soon. Like it doesn't come to life unless you're being obnoxious. Now, you can't do that as a, you know, even having this amp in your bedroom. Okay? And considering my studio is basically a bedroom converted to a studio, this is not an ideal situation for a bedroom amp. So if you're looking for a small amp for your bedroom as a practice amp, this is not really it. I mean, you're gonna really tick off your parents if you're a kid, or you're gonna tick off your spouse, you know what I mean? It's just too loud too quick, you know? It doesn't know what quiet is, and to get the tone you're after, you gotta wail it, you know. And it's like any other tube amp, like a real tube amp. They don't do squat until you turn them up, right? And they're loud. Even a 15-watt tube amp will vibrate the daylights of the walls in this room. I know I've done it already with a tube amp. So, like I mean, if you're living alone, I guess, and you own your house, you're okay. Or you're renting an actual house and nobody else lives upstairs or downstairs, you're okay. But I don't think it would be a very good, suitable bedroom amp, that's for sure. But definitely good for your practices. You are going to keep up to a acoustic drum kit without even thinking twice with this thing. Especially with a 4-ohm cab on it, you've got that 48 watts of power out of it. And that is like, the dBs that come out of this thing are just nuts, you know. So that's all good stuff. But it does get too loud too soon, and it doesn't come to life until you really bring up the power. So it's not quite as controllable as, say, the Spirit of Vintage, which is more of a clean type amp than anything. So I know they are different, but I find that it's just, I don't know. So in fairness of everything, I highly still recommend it. It's a fantastic amp, and do as you will with it. But I gotta put this at, to be fair, I have to put it at a 4 1/4 for my viewpoints. It does deserve probably a little bit more, but you know what? Nothing's perfect, but nothing should get that loud that soon, and just to even get a nice kind of distorted sound, you know, like that's nice, but if you want more grit, like we're feedbacking already. So that gets a little bit too loud. Now, you do have a headphone jack. You can put the headphones on. Perfect. So perfect practice amp in your bedroom with headphones. We'll give it that, okay? So, but I'm still staying at 4 1/4 because that's where I'm at with it. And I still think that even at a 4 1/4, it is definitely worth it. But I have to put it there to be realistic. It's not perfect. It gets a little too loud too soon as far as, you know, the way it is. I don't care about the fact that you can't really get a clean sound out of it, because it's not supposed to. It's not made for clean. It's made for metal, right? So you have to expect that, right? But I was kind of expecting that for a metal amp, even having that raunch right away, it would be able to be done at a bit of a lower tone, like a little bit lower volume, without being such a bit of a pain. Like, I don't know, can we cure this at all? See, and I don't really care for that sound, but when it gets to here, now that cleans it up, but then it's too loud and we're feedbacking and it's just mental, right? So anyways, that's where I'm at with it. Long McQuaid, you know, wherever you know, I mean, if you don't have a Long McQuaid near you, Guitar Center for you guys in the States, whatever music store that carries Hughes and Kettner, check them out. $300 Canadian, I think, is a great price. But that's where I'm at with this thing, and I mean, I still like it. Don't get me wrong, I still like it. But for me, the only time I'd be able to actually use this and get away with it is actually when there's nobody else home upstairs, because that's where the landlords live. You know, it is still a really cool amp, and the design factors are nice on these. You know, they do have some metal to them as well, you know. They're not really heavy. They can fit in anything, backpack, gig bag, whatever. So that's all fine. I love how they light up. I mean, these are so cool. You know, like I've got the other one as well here. Just turn it on. I mean, that would look nice as 3 in a row up top, you know, and just boom, you know. But I like how they light up. That's cool. And it's kind of got that, you know, kind of like a tube-ish kind of, you know, reference panel. I guess that's what they're going for the look there, maybe. But definitely nice. What more can I tell you? Not a whole lot, really. Obviously, they work great with wireless gear, because that's what I'm using. So you can use your cable, you can use your wireless with it. I do know that these things do take pedals, although on the Spirit of Metal, what pedal are you going to put on this thing? Like, seriously. Other than maybe an EQ pedal. That would be probably about it, you know. But at least on the Spirit of Vintage, you can put a whole whack load of pedals, because it's more of a clean amp than anything. But, yeah, I think it's a decent amp, and I do like it. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see what happens with the Spirit of Rock. See how that amp turns out when it comes in for me to show you guys. But in the meantime, let me know what you thought of this. So the guitar we used again was my Epiphone Les Paul standard gold top. And I like that guitar, actually. It's quite nice. But if you want to play metal, you need humbuckers in something. You know, whether it's a Les Paul, a Flying V, you know, a Super Strat, a Super Telly, You know, humbuckers and metal get along just perfectly fine together. Anyways, till next time, guys. See ya.